ordering fractions with different denominators, but the denominators are all multiples of the same number. Before doing this, it really does help to remember the multiplication and division facts up to 12 times 12. It just takes longer if you don't know them. It helps to be confident with doubling numbers up to 50 and halving numbers up to 100. And it really does help if you understand the concepts of multiples and factors, because they're going to get used a lot within this. You're going to place the symbol smaller than or bigger than between the two fractions, 16/20 and 6/10, to show which one is bigger than the other. Just a quick reminder, this symbol will show that 16/20 is smaller than 6/10, and if we put in the symbol this way round, it will show that 16/20 is bigger than 6/10. When the denominators are different, sometimes it can be difficult to do a comparison, so we need to make the denominators the same. We need to find a common denominator. We need to find a number that both can be divided by, or a number that both will go into. If you remember multiplication facts and your factors and multiples facts, you will know that 10 is a factor of 20. 10 and 20 are multiples of 10. We could turn them both into 20ths, but for this one we're going to look at using division. So we're going to turn them both into tenths. It helps to do the conversions directly beneath each fraction so that you can see which the converted ones are referring to above. 6/10 will stay the same. 16/20, we've converted the denominator to tenths, so we need to do the same with the numerator by the same proportion. To change 20ths to tenths, we had to divide 20 by 2. So we're going to do the same with the numerator. 16 divided by 2, that's 8. Now that the denominators are the same, it's clear to see which is bigger than the other, and you can see that 8/10 is bigger than 6/10. What you need to remember though is they're not the ones we're comparing. We have to look at the ones in the original question, 16/20 and 6/10. So you can see that 8/10 is referring to 16/20, and 16/20 is bigger than 6/10 because 16/20 is equivalent to 8/10. There is a different way of doing this though. For some people this just seems the easier way, and there are times when you do need to know both ways, because sometimes the method we've just used won't work because you can't divide the numerator and denominator of each fraction by the same number. So I'm going to show you another method of doing this. We're going to find a different common denominator. If you remember from the last one, we said that both 20 and 10 are multiples of 10, and we turned the denominators into 10. This time we're going to work on the premise that 20 and 10 are both factors of 20. Therefore, we can make both the denominators 20. This time, the 16/20 will remain the same. The 6/10 need to be converted to 20ths. To convert 10 to 20, we had to multiply by 2. So we're going to do the same with the 6 numerator. We're going to multiply that by 2, and that gives you 12/20. You're still getting exactly the same answer because your first fraction is bigger than your second one. 16/20 is bigger than 12/20. And remember that it's the original fractions in the question that you were comparing, so you can say 16/20 is bigger than 6/10. It's useful to know that sometimes there are two ways of doing this and you get a choice. There are occasions when you can only use this second method. This one's for you to try. Write these two fractions and you're going to work out which of those symbols goes in between. Is 20/30 bigger than 5/15, or is it smaller? Remember to find the common denominator And remember, your common denominator, you have a choice of 2. Pause the video, have a go. 30 and 15 are both multiples of 15 because 15 is a factor of 30. So we can turn them both into 15ths. 5 15ths will stay the same. The 30ths, to convert that to 15ths, we had to divide 30 by 2. So we're going to do the same with the numerator. And 20 divided by 2 is 10. And again, you can now see which is bigger. 10 15ths is bigger than 5 15ths. But remember, it's the fractions at the top, the ones in the original question, between which we need to place that bigger than or smaller than sign. 20 over 30 is bigger than 5 over 15. As before, you could have used the other denominator as the common denominator. 30 and 15 are factors of 30. So if we make the denominator 30, this time 20 30ths stays the same. 5 15ths, what did we do to 15 to change it to 30? We multiplied it by 2, so we're going to do the same with the 5, and that becomes 10 30ths. And again, your answer will still be correct because you still have 20 30ths is bigger than 5 15ths. The next couple are going to be slightly different. For one thing, they're less obvious to see from the beginning which is bigger than the other. But also, there might be a little bit of a problem when we try to find the common denominators. Take these two, 9 12ths and 5 over 36. We're going to decide which is bigger. Find a common denominator. If we look at the denominators, we can see a relationship between 12 and 36. 12 and 36 both are multiples of 12. What happens though if we attempt to convert both to 12ths? If we look at the first one, that's fine because that was already 12ths, so we can just make that 9 12ths. To turn 36 into 12, we divided it by 3. So we need to divide the numerator by 3, and we can't because it's 5, so we have to use the other method. This time we're working with the fact that 12 and 36 are factors of 36, so that's what we're going to make our denominator. To go from 12 to 36, we multiplied by 3, so we're going to do the same with the numerator. 9 times 3 is 27. And 5 over 36 can stay the same. It's now clear to see that 27 over 36 is considerably bigger than 5 over 36. That didn't look quite so obvious in the original question. So our answer is that 9 12ths are bigger than 5 over 36. This is one for you to try. Again, it's not going to be quite as obvious as the first ones we did. 13 over 24 and 7 eighths. Which symbol is going to go in the middle? Pause the video, have a go. Find a common denominator. You may have noticed the relationship between 24 and 8, and that 24 and 8 are multiples of 8. So you could try putting the denominator as 8. To get from 24 to 8, we divided by 3. But because the numerator is 13, we can't do that. So again, we need to use the other method, where we're taking into account that 24 and 8 are factors of 24. Therefore, 24 is going to be our denominator. 13 over 24 will stay the same. To get from 8 to 24, we multiplied by 3, so we're going to do the same with 7. Multiplied by 3, that makes the numerator 21. And this time you can see that 13 over 24 is smaller than 21 over 24. and remembering that we have to apply that to the original fractions before they were converted. 13 over 24 is smaller than 7/8.